Hello ladies and gentlemen of VHS Horror. Today I wanted to make a video talking about what I want from Red Dead Redemption 3. First, I want to make it clear that these are not leaks, these are not rumors, these are what I myself personally want from a third game. I'm not from Rockstar, I don't claim to be a Rockstar insider, nothing like that. Don't think what I'm talking about has been confirmed in any way. Anyhow, let's get into this. What I want is a game taking place before 1899 where we play as Dutch van der Linde and we see the rise and fall of the van der Linde gang. The fall, of course, being in 1899, so that would mean the game would end on the botched ferry job, the Blackwater job. The failed job that resulted in the gang heading up to the Grizzlies in the beginning of the game in RDR2. 1 second, drink. Now, I love the character of Dutch. Written well, the voice actor, Benjamin Brian Davis. The dude has an amazing voice. So that alone would make me buy it. Just hours and hours of listening to the Dutch talk. Something about his voice, it's like John Marston's. They both have great voices. But I'd love to see Dutch finding John, Dutch finding Arthur, raising them. Of course, that part would be a bit boring, so it would probably be sped up, like when they were building the house in RDR2 in the ending. I'd love to see Dutch meet Hosea Matthews. They talk about how they met a little bit. They say that they met while trying to rob each other. And clearly they're best friends. I mean, the way they interact with each other, if you watch them around camp, I don't know if I have footage or not, but if I do, I'll put it on screen. The way they interact, the way they look at each other, they smile, they have a good time. Just listening to them, it's awesome. You know they're friends. The actors did an amazing job playing them. And when Hosea died, it was really sad, and just watching Dutch's reaction, he did not want his friend to die. He was gonna try to bargain with Milton about getting Hosea back. And then after Hosea was shot and killed, Dutch just screams, I think it was, kill those, cuss word. I won't say the swear right now, because like I said in a different video that you probably haven't seen because it might not even be published, it might not even be made, but we have younger community members, so I try to watch what I say. The horror movies and video games, they're uncensored, but I try to watch how I talk, just for them, because I don't want them to be like, oh, it's okay to talk like this. Whatever. I have younger siblings too, and I like to lead a good example. Anyhow, let's get back on track. I love the character of John Marston. I mean, when we played at his words, holy. When we played as him in RDR2, I was like, are you serious? I like John, but I mean, come on. Just dumb. But then, on my second playthrough, I was getting hyped for it. I'm like, I can't wait to be John Marston again, shooting up bad guys. Shit, this is... I was thinking back to Red Dead Redemption 1, and I was like, shit, this is what I need, right here. Excuse me. A Red Dead Redemption 1 DLC. RDR2 is just a huge Red Dead 1 expansion. Oh, shit. Such good games. The characters are great. I really would love to watch what it was like to find John and to raise him. What it was like trying to teach him, I believe it was hunting, reading. I mean, of course that would be boring. That would be like a couple cutscenes, like a montage-y type thing. So we wouldn't actually do that shit in the game. Like picking dialogue options and stuff like, hey, John, look, let me teach you how to read. And I like to see how he treated Arthur growing up. Because it seems like, I know if you listen to some of the dialogue, people seem to think John is Dutch's favorite. But it really seems like Arthur's the favorite. So I'd like to see what it was like for Dutch to raise these two. I would love to see when John first met Abigail, when Uncle introduced her to the gang. Because that's how Abigail got introduced to the gang. His uncle knew her as a prostitute, probably slept with her, and then he brought her back. For what? I don't know. Maybe to treat the gang to something. Maybe just because she needed a way out of her old life, and she thought this was the best way to go with some old man and his gang. I would love to see how Dutch met Uncle. I'd love to see how Uncle got into the gang. Because think about it, Uncle must have a family. What if Uncle has kids, or a wife, or just any kind of family at all? Like, what is he running from something? Did he just want something to do? Clearly he's not a very active guy. So I don't know what to say about him. I'd like to know how Dutch came into contact with him. I would like to see, because Dutch says that he's had a bounty on his head for 13 years, and this was in 1899. So, no, he's probably done a lot of bad stuff before that. But I'm just saying, we would at least see like 13 years like of action. Now, of course, this would be cut up, and we would play through different years. Like maybe one year is like 1876, and the next year is like 1882. We would, of course, time jump quite a bit, but I would love to see those big moments. Like, remember, Dutch was also not really a partner with, but Dutch was kind of cool with Colm O'Driscoll until he killed Dutch's lover, Annabelle. And clearly Dutch has not let that go. I don't know if we know how long it's been, but it's been some time, and Dutch still remembers it. Dutch is still mad about it. I don't know if he's really that into Molly, but I mean, okay, he might be, I don't know, but clearly Dutch has not forgiven Colm, and he is still very angry about it. Colm tells him, like, hey, yeah, you killed my brother, but I never really liked him. Dutch makes it clear, well, I liked Abigail, I liked Annabelle. I would love to see all of that. I would love to play as Dutch and just shoot Colm's brother right in the face. And I'd love to feel all the emotions and shit when you find out, or maybe you watch it happen. Maybe Dutch sees it happen when Annabelle is killed by Colm. Why did Colm kill her? Yeah, it was to get back at Dutch. But how did he go about finding her? How did this happen? Was Annabelle a member of the gang? Was she just someone, like, in Saint Denis or something? Was she just a random... Dutch is an amazing character. The Vanderlyn gang is awesome. Rockstar Games has done an amazing Western thing here. They have created something really, really, really amazing. I've used that word quite a few times. That's why I said really so many times. I was trying to think of a different word to use. Shit. Anyway. Yeah, there's my example right there. I just said shit, but oh, I don't care. You know I don't. I would just love to play as Dutch and experience his story. See the start and end of the Vanderlyn gang. But I would also like them to keep the same canon. There were a few mistakes they made in RDR2, such as totally erasing John's daughter. I would have loved to see that. Like, I would have loved to see John as a father. Now, he was a father to Jack, but I'd love to see how he reacted with a newborn. Or however old the daughter may have been. Maybe she was older than Jack. I think she might have been. I don't know. I have no idea. I know just as much as you know, which is not a lot about it. But there's so much to tell. Like, was there any... Surely there was, but who else was a member of the gang? How did Dutch find out about his mother's death? He said his uncle told him. Well, is that, like, was his uncle a part of the gang? Maybe his uncle just sent him a letter or something. But how did the uncle know about him? How was he able to send it to him? The main things I want is to know, to watch it happen. How he became friends with Hosea Matthews. How he brought up Arthur and John. How he met Uncle. how Abigail, well, how she participated in the gang. Was she a prostitute after, like, it was made clear in RDR1 that everyone had her, a quote from Dutch, but you married her, John. Made clear that everybody slept with her. So was she still a prostitute? Did Uncle just bring her back to the gang as a treat? Or was she trying to just join them and change her ways? We don't know. We don't know any of this stuff. And it would be fun to explore. Now, I don't believe if we get a new Red Dead game, I don't believe it's going to be a sequel. Because we'd be playing as Jack, and there's no other characters that we are familiar with. They would have to do a completely new story. What I believe is it will be a prequel of some kind if there is a third game. And if there is a third game, it has already been in the works for some time. Not stuff like creating the map and all that stuff, making the character models, stuff like that. But basic stuff like the writing. That stuff first. I believe that I believe right now Rockstar has an idea of what they want to do. Obviously. Of course they do. And I believe that they have been planning this while making Red Dead Redemption 2. They had planned a third game. Either way, whatever they do next, I can't wait to experience it. So long as we have characters like Dutch and John, because those two are my favorites. If it's a sequel to the first game, I don't know. Maybe they're going to go out and adventure into the war stuff. Because in 1914, that's when the game ends, there's an article in the Ledger talking about World War I starting. So maybe they're going to use that as an excuse, or not really an excuse, but you know what I'm saying. They're going to use that as the reasoning for venturing off into war stuff. Maybe they're going to start making war games. Now, of course, that wouldn't go very long because there's only been 2 world wars. But there have been many wars. But if they want to go from, like, let's say, 1899 to, like, 1996 or whenever San Andreas takes place, then they would just, or LA Noire, let's use that as an example, because that's like the 1950s. There'd only be one game to put in between those two. But that's not all one big universe, so a war game could take place anytime. It could take place in like 2003 or something. But I don't see a sequel to Red Dead Redemption 1 being as good as RDR1 or RDR2. Because you gotta remember, by this time, the world is starting to become what we know it as. Well, how about the world is starting to become what our parents knew it as? Or whatever. My wording isn't really the best. But they're starting to get cars. There's more advanced weaponry. There's better buildings, telephone lines, electricity. What else? I think I've said everything. But the world is advancing by 1911 and 1914. So there's not really a whole lot they can do as far as the Western stuff after RDR1. Now let's talk about DLC real quick. Maybe I might cut this out of the video, maybe I won't. Depends on company, because I'm expecting some people soon. Anyway, what you heard was what I would like from Red Dead Redemption 3. I would like a prequel telling the story of the Van der Linde gang from start to finish, preferably playing as Dutch. That would be the best. Anyhow, now let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 DLC. What I would like, I see a lot of people talking about Sadie and Charles DLC. But first I'll say what I would like is a Native American DLC, or Indians. I know, that's not the politically correct term, but it's westerny stuff. You can call them Indians. It's Western times. You can, don't be mean about it, but you can call them Indians. In the game, of course. I'm not saying walk up to a native person in real life and call them that. I might take offense to it. Anyhow, what I would like is something to do with Indians. Now, when RDR2 was announced and it was being hyped up, that was something I was excited for. I'm like, okay, what's his name? Drew McFarlane. He was out fighting Indians 10 years ago. That would be what, 1901? I believe it was 10 years ago in 1911 when Drew McFarlane was out fighting Indians. But in 1899, in Reddit Online, we hear Bonnie talking about, oh, well, me and my daddy want to pack up and go on a trip. It's like, oh, okay. Who knows, maybe that's hinting at Native American DLC. Maybe that trip they're going on is really just a trip for Drew. Maybe he's going out to fight the war or whatever. Or whatever they're doing with the natives. One thing I at least wanted was a Native American gang attack. I even said on Twitter, like, I would be fine with just one settlement, or gang hideout, or whatever, you know what I'm saying. With just one gang hideout where we fight Native Americans. Bow and arrows, tomahawks, you know, characters who look like Shadow Wolf from Red Dead Revolver or the Red Dead Redemption DLC for online. Legends and Killers, I think it was. No, Red Dead Redemption. I mean, Red Dead Revolver, I think the DLC name was for that one. I'm not sure, but it's a Red Dead Redemption 1 DLC for online mode. I wanted some Indian stuff because, you know, that's Western-y, you know? I say you know quite a bit. Gosh, I thought I ditched that shit. But when you watch Western movies, you always hear talk of the Indians, or you see something to do with Indians. And I at least wanted one gang hideout, but we didn't get one. And I never tried to shoot up the Wapiti reservation, but apparently you can't even use weapons in there, which sucks. I know it's like, oh, well, they would write articles saying Rockstar made a native killing simulator. But that's like saying, oh, you can kill colored people in GTA 5. They made a colored killing simulator. You know how stupid that sounds? Like, I understand why we can't go around killing kids in the game. Well, I do understand why. I think it's dumb. But I understand why. It's because that would look bad on them, because no one... I'm fine with the idea of killing video game, make it clear, video game kids. I'm fine with that idea. It's a video game. But not a lot of people think the way I do when it comes to games. People think that games are real life or something, and they think that they gotta follow the same rules. You know, murder is okay. Sexual abuse is okay. Theft is okay. Any other crime is okay. Assassination, okay. All that stuff. But you even threaten a kid in a game and it's the end of the world. Gosh. Torture. That's something I didn't mention just now. Torture in a game. That's fine. Take GTA 5. Sure, that got shit for it, but wasn't a big deal. Anyway, I understand why we can't kill kids in the game. Because a lot of people would shit on the game and they would be like, yeah, this should be pulled from stores rated adult only or not sold at all. I don't know what the X rating is. I think there's an X rating. Give it that. Or just, you know, give them just a black box. Don't even give them an actual ESRB rating. Just make that little box black. They can't sell their game. Gosh. I find it dumb that we can't kill Native Americans in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a Western. Cowboys shot Indians. Not exactly bad. It's a Western game. You can't say killing one person's okay, but killing another's not. At least when it comes to adults. Go ahead, say killing kids is bad in the game. That's fine, I don't give a shit. But saying, oh hey, well this person is a different race, they can't be killed. Then it's like, well, you make no sense. Anyhow, I ranted a little bit about that. My apologies. I might try to cut it. I might not at all. Depends how long the rant was for. Anyway, again, I would like a native DLC. That probably won't happen because Rockstar's afraid because the world is too PC right now. People are too afraid to offend anybody. God forbid. It hurt a little person's feelings. And no, I don't mean little person like a midget. When I said little person, I just mean like you're little. You don't have, you know what I'm saying. You're weak. You know what I'm saying? When I said a little person's feelings, I'm saying you're weak. If your feelings get hurt because of someone in a video game said something you don't like, you're a weak little fill in the blank. Any word you want me to use, that's what I used. Anyway, gosh. Still talk about Sadie and Charles DLC. I suppose I wouldn't mind it, but I mean, Charles just went off to Canada to start a family. He made it clear that maybe he would start a family of his own. So there's not a whole lot to tell. Charles didn't have his own tribe. I believe his father may have been a slave. I don't know. Maybe at some point. I really don't know. But there's not a whole lot to tell with Charles, even if they did a prequel type of thing, there's not a whole lot. Micah, that could make a decent DLC, because even before the Van der Linde gang, Micah was known for being evil. Oh, if you want to use that word. Micah was known for being bad. There was even an article we can find talking about Micah and his father Micah killing people. I forget exactly what it said, but clearly he and his father were very bad men. So maybe a Micah DLC wouldn't be awful. Micah killed a kid, and he's done a lot of other horrible shit since 1899. So maybe we could see what he's been doing in a DLC type of thing, while we do a time jump to 1907. We can see what happened during those years off screen. Or maybe we could get a DLC about Dutch and the failed robbery in 1906, where it was rumored that he perished in a fire. Think of how amazing they could do that. Rockstar's great at this stuff. It could be like a movie. Even if they did it in one big cutscene, it would look awesome. Just imagine Dutch just barely escaping from a flaming bank or a ferry or something. Just barely making it out alive. And everybody pretty sure that he died. Everybody's convinced that he died. They could do a pretty awesome scene. Even if they didn't let us play it, they could do an awesome scene. I'd like to know how Dutch found Micah, how all that stuff happened. Maybe that's one of the reasons they did a time jump the way they did it, because they wanted to leave that area open for other stuff. Maybe they have plans for a DLC. I mean, I believe, I don't know for a fact, I think that John may have left the country after leaving the gang. I believe they went somewhere. I feel like the Yukon was mentioned, but I don't know for sure, so I'm not saying that at all for a fact. But John left the country, I believe, sometime after 1899. So maybe we could see what he and his family were up to before 1907. As far as Sadie goes, I feel like her story's pretty much at an end. I mean, sooner or later she's gonna get herself killed. She's just a bounty hunter. All I could imagine us doing is playing as her and taking on bounties. I don't really know. Sadie had a pretty normal life. She was living with her husband, Jake, I think his name was, up in that snowy area, up in the Grizzlies for a long time, or I say a long time, however long they've been there. They were living there. She was just a wife. She had her and her husband shared the chores, you know, they both did some cooking and stuff like that. It was a normal family. So there's not a whole lot to tell. They'd have to give us a DLC after 1899, excuse me, and before 1907. Or after 1907, and whenever it wants to end. Because I can't see a Sadie or Charles DLC ever being made, for the reason that there's not a whole lot to tell. Sadie's a bounty hunter. She's probably going to get herself killed. And before the gang met her, she was a wife to a man up in the Grizzlies. They were just a family. Nothing crazy, nothing cool, just a family. Charles, he was raised by a colored man and a native woman, and he said that, I think he said his mother talked about it, their old tribe or whatever, but he didn't really come from any. And he talks about going up to Canada and making a family of his own after 1907. I suppose they could show us him being a fighter and stuff after 1899 to 1907, but there's honestly not a whole lot. Now with Micah, I'm pretty sure they mentioned him doing a few things, but one of the things I remember, because I recently replayed American Venom, the final mission of the game, is when we find one of Micah's boys, he says something about, I tried to stop him killing that girl. I tried to stop him. And I actually felt bad for that guy, and I let him live. Sadie killed him. I mean, on my first playthrough, I killed him, but when I replayed that mission, I let him live. Sadie didn't have the same plans as me. But I would have loved to see Micah's story. A lot of people are like, ha ha ha, Micah's bad, Micah's a rat. I talk about Micah in a video, and they're like, hey, yeah, you pronounced rat wrong. It's like, oh, you're so funny and edgy and cool. Yeah, lol, you don't like Micah. Yeah, he killed Arthur, but he's still a good character. They've done a great job with Micah. Peter Bloomquist, or however you pronounce his last name, sorry if I mispronounced it, but he did an amazing job portraying Micah. I don't know how it sounded, but to me it sounded like I said betraying. I didn't say that. I said portraying. Portraying. Did a great job as Micah. There's quite a bit they can tell. Like, Micah had a gang. He killed kids. They wouldn't let us do that. And I did two of them. They would not let us kill a kid. That would be a scene, or that would not be a DLC. We would get it all. Now that I think about it. But Dutch Vanderlyn, the one thing that we know for a fact happens with Dutch after 1899 to 1907, we know he takes part in a failed bank robbery, or a failed robbery of some kind, and is rumored to have perished in a fire. Now that there could make for an interesting scene, an interesting mission. I can't imagine them giving us that. I can't imagine that ever happening, but that is a more I don't know if I want to use realistic or reasonable, but that is a more likely to happen DLC than Charles or Sadie. And a matter of fact, if this was a game like Batman, where they give us mission packs, I could see Sadie coming. I could see us playing as Sadie for a couple bounty missions, but this isn't a game like one of the Batman Arkham games. We don't have level packs or whatever. It's a story game. And there's not a whole lot to tell with Sadie after that point. It's like, oh wow, she's a bounty hunter. One of her rivals, James Langton, she killed him in 1907, so we already know that. What else did you say? I think he tried to kill her or something. She found a guy dressed up like a woman or something in a house for women or some shit. I have no idea. I don't even know if I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure that's something that happened. That was mentioned. They could show us a bit, but I mean, if they made a Sadie or Charles DLC, it would be awfully short. Because with Sadie, it would just be a little bit of her bounty hunting stuff, and with Charles, it might be a bit of his fighting background, like him fighting. Those would be about, I imagine, an hour at most DLC. With Micah, I could see them making a game. Not a game, but I could see them making a campaign a couple hours long. Micah's like the character of Landon Ricketts in Red Dead Redemption 1. With Landon, oh yeah, that's a character you want to have a game about. He's a very interesting guy. Well, Micah is like Landon in that sense. Micah's very interesting. He's got a colorful past. He is a very bad guy. Dutch Vanderlyn. Now, I already told you before I started talking about DLC ideas that I would like to see RDR3 where we play as Dutch, and I told you what I would like. So if they did anything with Dutch, I can only imagine they would do a game and not a DLC. Holy shit, it's awful that I forget some of this stuff while I'm talking about. Let's talk about Red Dead Redemption Remastered real quick. Excuse me. Like I said at the start of this video, none of this stuff is leaked, none of this stuff is confirmed, none of this stuff is rumors. These are all what I would like, my ideas, and my opinions. Anyway, Red Dead Redemption 1 Remastered. Sometimes when I think about it, I think it'll never happen, and other times I'm like, yeah, there's a chance. Now, if they did make a remaster... Okay, I'll put it like this. If Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out to PC, I could see them maybe trying to remake RDR1, but they would sell it as a DLC, not a DLC. They would sell it as its own game. That's how they would do it. They wouldn't... They might sell it as a DLC, but I can imagine what they would actually do is they would just sell it separately as a remake and slap that $80 price tag on it, Canadian. I think $60 is what Americans pay for new stuff. So they would slap that brand new price tag on it. Then it would probably have the same online. You'd play with the same people, same map, because online itself is still set in $18.99, so online would be the same. Gotta get that phone call again. Red Dead Redemption 1 Remake? Is that what we were talking about? I was on the phone for a good half hour at least. The chances of that happening are slim to none, I would say. And, well, I'll put it like this. With GTA 5, we didn't get a single DLC. So, what I'm about to say, you know, still might never happen. But let's say we don't hear about a single-player update for 1 or 2 years. Then, I'm going to say it's safe to guess that there might be a Red Dead Redemption 1 style DLC coming, or remake. Because if it's been that long with no updates, then there's a chance it's because they're working on something big. But then again, GTA 5 years old, never got a single update, single player update, so thinking like that, I mean, still probably wasting your time. And let's talk about the Jack voice lines real quick. Well, first I'll end this part about the remake by saying, as Dutch would say, have some faith, but I'm gonna say don't have too much. Just think about it like there's a chance, but then think of it like, but there's also a bigger chance they're working on the next game. So think of it like that. There might not be a remake, but that might be because they're working on the next one. Of course, they're not in development, making the map and characters and all that stuff right now, but I'm sure at this point in time they are writing it and all that stuff. There's a lot of people at Rockstar, so I imagine there's a lot of stuff going on. As for a Red Dead Redemption remake, I would say that there is a very small chance we might get the main story ported over or remade with a little less side stuff, such as the Strangers or some Irish or Nigel West Dickens missions. Well, if we get a remake as a DLC for this game, it'll probably be the basic stuff that we need to get the story. I can't imagine it being everything, including like the Hills Have Eyes style quest where you find the cannibal out in the hills eating people, or Jenny's Faith where you go and you find this woman out in the desert and give her some medicine. It's just going to be the basic stuff. If we get a remake at all, I'm going to guess. But as for right now, I'm going to say I can't imagine a DLC right now, and the chances of a remake are slim to none. So I'm going to say that sure, we're going to get some online content in the future. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. So yeah, there will be online updates. I'm not so sure about single player, but if you're into online, that's good. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan, but we might talk about that in a different video, or maybe in this one if we have time later. And yeah, I would rather get Red Dead Redemption 3 instead of a DLC, because I think Rockstar have done everything they can with RDR2 right now, unless they do something completely different, like a Zombies DLC like they did with Undead Nightmare in the first game. That's not related to the main quest or the characters or anything. That's its own side thing. It's not canon. We might see something random like that, but we won't see any not official. We won't see any super canon, interesting, in-depth DLC, I can't imagine. Alright, the Jack voice lines. And also, this is unnecessary to mention, but I just learned that I'm recording my headset microphone. I always thought I was recording it on my computer, my computer's mic, but apparently I'm using my headset. So sorry for any of those noises like this. My apologies. I've moved around my shirt and I'm trying to keep it a decent way away from my body. That way it's not hitting against me or waving around too much. Because this is connected to my headset. It's a little piece of plastic on it, connected to the wire of the headphones. Not exactly the best thing, but hey, it's fine. It records. It does the job. Anyway, the Jack voice line is what I was talking about. So I believe they're fake. They are not Jack Marston. If you haven't heard, there's been little clips of Jack Marston. They've come from quite a few users uploading stuff. I've seen a couple videos from an Xbox website, and a couple videos, well, yeah, 1 or 2 videos from 2 different people, I think. And yeah, they all seem to have the same type of voice, but I don't believe it is Jack Marston. Why? Because think logically for a minute. Why on earth would Jack Marston's voice be in Red Dead Redemption 2? Why would the adult Jack's voice be in it, and not the remake, or not Mexico, or not the RDR1 story? Why on earth would we have that from a remade RDR1, but not anything else? Wouldn't it be more realistic if we had the entire Mexico map? Wouldn't that be more like, oh hey, look at that, guys, now it's like confirmed RDR1 remake? No, people are like, hey, listen to this totally legit clip of Jack Marston's voice coming from John. Yup, makes sense, makes a lot of sense. This is definitely, for sure, positively, a remake. No, you idiots. I'm not calling the people watching this video idiots, I'm calling the people who think it's Jack an idiot. There is no chance that the voice that comes from these supposed glitches to be Jack Marston. But how would that even work? Why would those lines be in the game to begin with? And maybe you're thinking, oh, well, that's why RDR2 isn't on PC yet, because people will go through the files and they'll find it. Huh, so you look like an idiot saying this. Well, no, you idiots. RDR2 isn't on PC yet because Rockstar doesn't want it on PC. Or at least not right now. I'm sure they do because it's more money for them, but not right now. Again, not calling anyone watching this an idiot, I'm calling people who think Jack Marston's in the game an idiot. Of course, young Jack is in the game. 5-year-old and 11-year-old, I believe he is, Jack Marston, he's in the game. But not adult Jack. There is nothing to do with a remake in the game. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to title this video. Probably something like Red Dead Redemption 3 ideas, RDR2 DLC, and RDR remake or some shit. I have no idea. But yeah, if you've watched this far and you think I'm clickbaiting, just remember I made it perfectly clear in the beginning that I'm talking about what I would like, and my opinions, my thoughts, everything to do with me. I'm saying words from my brain, not anybody else's. All the words you're hearing is coming from me, not Rockstar, not a website, not a supposed insider or a leaker, coming from another member of the community. I don't know anything more than you do. Anyway, I gotta fix my shirt real quick. My collar's bothering me. Sorry if my mic is loud. I, again, just found out my mic is recording... No, the mic I have recording is from a headset, not my computer. So that means all this time I've been fiddling with my computer trying to get it set up right is a waste of time because I'm not recording that microphone. But hey, who cares, right? That don't matter. Anyway, I might do a Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough, but what I've been thinking is I'll do like a blind playthrough, if you want to call it that. Not blind for me, but blind for you. Like, let's say you are a visually impaired person, or you are new to the game and just want to watch a playthrough. I've been thinking about doing a playthrough where I describe stuff that I'm seeing and doing, and, well, such as, I don't care if anyone takes my idea or not, I really don't. But anyway, take the mission where we save Sadie Adler for a minute. Or Sadie, that's how you pronounce it, Sadie Adler. Take the mission where we save her in the very start of the game. I would be going through the entire house, talking like, over here we find a portrait of Jake and Sadie on their wedding. Kind of like I do with my lore videos, but it would be a playthrough. It'd be a Red Dead lore playthrough, I think is what I would do. I don't know. I would like to do different playthroughs of these type of games in like first person and third person, maybe with challenges like no guns or only melee or no horses, no cars, stuff like that. But again, I didn't say this at all yet. But I don't know if my channel is the type of place to put it. I might do it, but unlisted. I might have an unlisted playlist, so you can watch it like that. I might not actually publish the videos. I might unlist them. I don't know. We'll see. When it comes to Red Dead lore, though, of course, all that stuff's public. You can go watch that. And as far as Red Dead lore goes, that's going to take a while because we're doing longer episodes, if you haven't noticed. The episode that we did recently on Dutch van der Linde, that video is 2.5 hours long. Right now, we are working on another main character who is just as big as Dutch, if not bigger. No, it's not Arthur. And holy cow, when we do Arthur, that one is going to be insane. Arthur's in all the missions, and a lot of them are important. So that video, I don't want to cut it up, but I can imagine it'll probably be a video I have to cut up. I think YouTube's limit is 11 hours. I don't know, 11 or 24, I have no idea. I don't know where I got the number 11 from, but I think it's somewhere around that. So we're going to hope that I can upload a video on Arthur sometime. Right now I'm working on a different character, who I hope to have out soon. Because of something that's occurred, the video may be a little bit slower for a couple days. I may be working on it a little bit less, but that doesn't mean that it won't get out. I'll be working on it, it'll just be a little bit slower. But hey, you didn't know Dutch was coming, and it did, so you don't know this one's coming either. Chances are you didn't watch the video this long and not hear me talk, so hey, you still don't know about this video, so don't matter if you gotta wait a couple weeks, right? Now, this character is going to be a big one, going to be a long one. It's a character I love, character I really enjoy, and I think you know exactly who I'm talking about. Just think about it. Ain't Dutch. It ain't Arthur. It's a character who is probably one of my favorites. Probably one of your favorites. Someone who is equally as big, if not bigger, than Dutch van der Linde. Anyhow, we'll leave it at that. This has been a fun episode of the VHS Podcast. I like talking about stuff that I like, and I like this. This has been a fun one, for sure. Bandicam caps off at 10 minutes, and it's at 8 minutes, 15 seconds right now. And I don't want to talk any longer than I need to, otherwise I have to cut it out and edit it, and I have to start a new recording. So, excuse me. I'll finish this video off by saying one more time, I am not from Rockstar, I am not an insider, I am not a leaker. Everything you heard is my thoughts, my opinions, and what I would like. Nothing has been confirmed, these are all my words, not Rockstar's. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Classic VHS Podcast. I had a lot of fun making this. And I think I said I would talk about Red Dead Online, but I think I want to say that for a different video. Maybe I'll review it. I think I'll review it. I don't have a lot of good things to say about it, but then again, it's still in beta. A lot of things are meant to change. A lot of things are still growing and developing and evolving. So, hey, Red Dead Online might be more fun in a couple weeks, a couple months, might take a year. Right now I don't like it, but I'm sure I'll grow to love it. Anyway, that has been all I have to say about Red Dead 3, DLC, and all that. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I'll see you next time.